Hey, everybody, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Mindset Check. Today I have Karen Sanchez on the call. Thank you, Karen, for being a guest on today's episode.
It is my pleasure.
Yeah, so Karen actually is someone I recently met. She had just this energy about her, great personality, smiles all day. And we had a conversation offline, and I thought, man, she'd be great to have on. She's a successful individual, personal and business. In fact, she has a $20 million property that she's selling out in Beverly Hills. Am I correct?
You are absolutely correct. It is a work of art. I wouldn't even call it a house. I would call it a trophy.
A trophy.
Yeah, a piece of art.
Yes. And so she's going to share with us today her journey and how gratitude has transformed her morning routine, but also her life. She has battled through a lot of challenges, lots of lessons to be learned through her story. Definitely inspiring. So, Karen, how do you start your mornings?
When I'm in my bed in the morning, I actually open my arms wide to the sky and I say, I'm so thankful and grateful. And that's how I start every single morning. And it's just a natural occurrence for me now, which leads me into my morning cup of coffee or ginger tea or both. And then some time to myself with either journaling on my balcony or a little meditation. I just like to connect with myself first.
Yeah, sure.
Fill up your own cup before you can actually fill up other people's cups. It's almost like when you're on the airplane, put on your own mask before you can put your child's mask on.
I love that. Yeah. And did that always happen for you? Were you always doing that type of routine, or was this something that gradually happened over time? And when did that shift happen for you?
I think that I've always had sort of an energetic personality where I kind of am a half glass, half full thinker. But I did have a real brush with death, I guess you could say, which really changed my view on life. And I think that through all the adversity that I experienced, it really made me value every moment of every day, even the really bad moments, just because you're alive and you have a choice and a chance to create what you want.
So you had cancer, right? And so this is the adversity that you're speaking of. Huge, I mean, crushing, right? Crushing news you got somehow. How did you deal with that? Was that something is that something that you can kind of walk us through? Like, you got the news?
Yes, absolutely. So, I was the person who was sort of skating through life. I had never had any illnesses, nor did my children. In 55 years, I was never in the hospital. I was never really ever sick. And I thought I had a sinus infection, if you can believe it.
Wow.
But what ended up happening was so bizarre. I ended up having a stroke. And I didn't even know I was having a stroke because I was on the telephone giving someone directions on how to get into my listing, and all of a sudden my tongue felt like it weighed 100 pounds. I could hear my voice coming out. Like my brain could hear my voice coming out, but I was talking very weird and I couldn't control it. So the stroke that I presented with, it actually saved my life, because if I wouldn't have had that stroke, I wouldn't have gone to the hospital to check things out. And after going to the hospital, through a series of events, I ended up finding out that I had cancer, ovarian cancer, which grew very rapidly. And I ended up having a 17-centimeter tumor in my abdomen, which is about the size of a cantaloupe for a vision.
Wow.
So that, it was just a journey with myself. I ended up having to have emergency surgery. I had a few more strokes. I had about 5 things at once.
And how old were you?
I was 55.
55. Wow.
Yes.
So young.
So it was a blessing in disguise.
Yes.
And I decided at that moment to just I just became sort of like a warrior for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I just did everything in my power. I had to change a lot of things. I started to meditate daily, multiple times, went on a spiritual journey with myself, and learned about myself.
Now,
Cancer is really a mind, body, spirit disease. It's not just a physical disease.
talk to me about that. What was your experience with that, and how does that, or how does that lesson, like, how did you come to that conclusion for yourself?
Because I realized that your body, your mind, all of your circuits, your systems, your blood, your muscles, everything is connected to your heart and your brain, and how you process your emotions can lead to a disease. And it's kind of a scary thought, but I was carrying a lot of resentment inside of me, and I needed to really address that and face that. And so what I did was I discovered a few really good books, and I'm happy to share them with your audience, because if it can help
Yes,
one
please.
person, the book by David Hawkins, Dr. David Hawkins, called Letting Go, was very instrumental in my getting well. And I encourage other people just to read it, because it does unravel how we process emotions and how to change how you process your emotions. And then there was another book by Louise Hay, the pioneer of
Yes,
self-help,
Louise
called
Hay.
The
Yep.
Power is Within You. And I read those two books, and I just really was in denial about my cancer, meaning like, this is not going to take me down. I'm going to beat it. And I changed how I ate, even though I was eating pretty well. I just really made my body completely alkaline, because cancer flourishes in an acidic environment. So I got rid of coffee, sugar, alcohol, dairy, meat, everything, all the fun stuff.
Wow. And
And
is
yeah,
that how you live your life currently?
it is. I don't eat as regimented as I did when I was going through treatment.
Yeah.
Clearly, I've incorporated some things back into my eating, but I do always return back to my kale, my ginger. Yes, there's certain staples that it's a practice now. It's a lifestyle.
Now I don't want to lose where I wanted to go with you earlier, which was the books. Now, if you can give me just one or two nuggets from each book. If someone were to pick it up, what did you gain from it, right? Because somebody else might. I think reading is very, self. It's a personal thing, right? So what you got, maybe something, if I read it, I might be focused on something else based on my experiences, right? So, but for you, what did you pull from? What is like the nugget or two that you got from David Hawkins' book, and then we'll go into Louise Hay.
Well, David Hawkins has a scale that he actually has now determined the vibrations and where they calibrate on a scale. And I didn't realize this, but fear is the lowest vibration, I believe. Fear, anger, resentment, all of those vibrations are very, very low. So when you're walking around, being mad at someone, or having a grudge, or just being scared, scared of the world condition,
Right.
it's almost like you're walking around in a very low vibration. And I learned that love is the highest vibration. Love 528. It's the highest vibration. In fact, there's a radio station that I want to encourage people to listen to. It's the Love 528. It's a radio station. So, anyways, all the music is calibrated.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that FM or AM?
It's no, it's I can't really say specifically. It's someone's channel. I would have to like
Ah,
really
got it,
find that,
got it,
but I
got it,
can
got it.
probably get
No, that's
get it
okay.
back
Yeah,
to
yeah,
you.
we'll research it.
So the book taught me about my vibration and what I thought I was happy. I thought I was okay. But what I realized was I wasn't being as present as you can be. I was that person feeling like, oh, I'm going to be happy when I get that paycheck.
Sure.
Oh, I'm going to be happy when that sale closes. When I get this. So I was always sort of looking ahead,
Mm-hmm.
or I was, if you're thinking about the past, then you're revisiting old wounds, revisiting old vibrations that are
Mm-hmm.
negative. So
Mm-hmm.
the main point is to be present and try to keep your vibration as high and pure as you can. Just to have the awareness, oh, here I go again. I'm slipping back to
Mm-hmm.
that mindset, that low vibration mindset. So David Hawkins helped me with that, to release resentment, because it was like a scratch the surface and boom, there it is, just
Mm-hmm.
all underneath the surface. So I had to let go of all of that to heal my body. So mentally healing, spiritually healing, physically healing. The Louise Hay book, The Power Is Within You, it was just a reminder of how powerful we are. We are infinite spiritual beings. We're so much more powerful than we even know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now I know, and now I feel more powerful, and I feel that I can lead by example.
Okay, powerful. So let's go back. You talked about David Hawkins in terms of the vibration. I notice when I am not in a high vibration state, right? So whether it's fear, whether it's anger, whether it's whatever, disappointment, it's getting to that place of love, and it's almost like a journey that happens, an internal journey. So I'm curious for you, like, when did you start recognizing that you were shifting from a low vibration to a higher vibration?
Oh my gosh. Well, there was so much power in my healing in
Mm-hmm.
itself, just because I had to go through chemotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
I lost my hair. I looked
Mm.
like a little alien. I
Wow.
I had to be so vulnerable, like, and I was wearing a wig for a while,
Uh-huh.
and then I decided, you know what? I'm not going to wear this wig anymore. I'm coming out. I'm just going to be myself. I'm going to show people that I have short gray hair now, and
Mm-hmm.
instead of long dark hair. And I just started to kind of come out. I was realizing at those moments how valuable life is, how important my friendships are, how grateful I am. My business partner, Yower Charlie, who's an amazing individual, just a
Mm-hmm.
rock star and a lovely man, also a fellow real estate agent, and was my partner. He stood by me through very, very difficult times and never made it obvious to any of our clients that I was
Mm-hmm.
going through cancer. So
Mm-hmm.
I just thought, wow, this is incredible. You just start to grab onto what's good in your life and what's
Mm-hmm.
working, and you just
Sure.
have to focus on that. It's not like I don't ever get upset, because clearly
Right.
everyone has problems. But I just see things differently because I appreciate life in a whole new way.
And that appreciation for life, that gratitude, how has living in that way trickled down to your kids? Because you have 3 kids, correct?
I do, and that's a great question. I think that the basis is that we became even closer as a family,
Mm-hmm.
almost losing their mother. You never want to say those words to your children. I mean, it was
Right.
just like it was surreal when I heard from the doctor that I had cancer and that I had to tell that to my kids. So
Right.
we just became that family now. Every time we speak to each other, we never hang up the phone without saying, "Love you."
Sure.
Even when someone's leaving the house, they still say it.
Mm-hmm.
And they value me in a way that maybe they might have taken for granted before,
Uh-huh.
and vice versa.
Sure.
So it's another way of just being present with your family and enjoying the moments, even the crappy ones.
That's beautiful. And I think it's powerful because your family is an extension of you, and obviously they're gonna grow up, and well, they're probably grown, but they grow up in an environment where, the whole home and the household is focusing on vibrating at a higher level, higher state, higher frequency. There's
Yeah.
impact there, I think. And I have 2 little girls, and I always think about that. and it helps me when I'm in a moment, or I'm in a state and I feel it, and it's just kind of like, okay, um, nothing good comes from being in this state, right? It's like, if you're in fear, and let's say even anger, if I'm angry at somebody, my ego might come in and be like, okay, hey, you know what, keep being angry because they deserve it. They don't, whatever it is that the ego is trying to tell you, to trick you, to keep you in a comfortable egoic state. But like, once you move past that, you're realizing that that's where possibilities happen. Like, that's where the possibilities are endless when you're moving in a higher vibrational state. And so I'm just curious for you, like, how, when you're in a lower level emotions and feelings, how do you navigate through that and basically save yourself and put yourself on the other side, right, where you're vibrating higher, you're able to, exist at a higher level.
A couple things come to mind, and one of them is that anger is there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good emotion. It's not bad, or it's not bad or good. It's actually an emotion that fuels you. It
Uh-huh.
compels you to do something, and you can actually use anger in a positive way. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I'm perfect. I've lost my cool with my kids. I have behaved in ways, or yelled, and and
Sure.
not been proud of that. But then I realized, I am human,
Mm-hmm.
and as long as you have awareness with the anger, you can take 10 seconds. You can stop for a second. You can go, okay, I'm feeling really triggered right now.
Mm-hmm.
What's triggering me? Do I need to vent? Is this something I want to talk about? Is this something I can change? Is this something I can live with? So you got to pick your battles. And one thing that comes to mind to me as well, that I would love to share with you now that I'm older and wiser,
Mm-hmm.
and my kids are really grown, and you have two little ones, is to teach your children, boys and girls, every day when they brush their teeth, to look in the mirror at themselves and say, I love you,
Mm-hmm.
to yourself. Grown-ups should do it as well, because it is so important to love yourself more than anything. And I never realized that until I had cancer.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I loved myself, but teaching children to look at themselves and love themselves is so huge,
Mm-hmm.
because there's just so much pressure to be perfect and to look a certain way, and they don't feel good enough and all that. It taps into so many things in life.
Sure. So self-love, it's key.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. It's such a crucial part of life, and just operating at a high level. And when I say high level, I just mean in a to the capacity that you're just like, in flow state, and you're really tapping into your talents and your gifts, and the things you were brought here to share with the world. Um, Self-love seems is always a repeating you know uh, item on like a lot of books and a lot of self-help and whatnot. How does someone develop self-love? What can they do to help develop that self-love?
One thing in particular, aside from telling yourself I love you every day, even if you don't feel it, say it
Mm-hmm.
anyways. Let your brain hears, your ears, your brain hears everything that you say and think about yourself.
Right.
So if you're beating yourself up, or you're saying, "Oh, oh, that was so stupid of you," or
Mm-hmm.
what an idiot, you shouldn't have done that way, or I don't talk to myself like that ever. I,
Mm-hmm.
I look at myself every day. I said, "Hi, gorgeous. You are so
Nice.
adorable." This is what I say to myself.
Yes.
Because I hear it. I'm hearing it. I'm taking it in, instead of looking at myself and finding flaws. Do I
Mm-hmm.
have wrinkles? Yes, I have some wrinkles. Who cares? We're
Sure.
all going to get them. So I'm trying not to focus on the anything negative about myself. I try to focus on positive things about myself. Also, I think that gratitude, um, for the simplest things. Even if you're not feeling well, if you're sick, or you're overweight, or you have a challenge, or
Mm-hmm.
you can still find dozens, hundreds of things to be grateful for,
Mm-hmm.
because you just have to think about it. The miracle that you are right now, breathing, seeing, smelling, tasting, hearing, You know, I love this thing. If you think about it, if you're sitting there and you feel someone looking at you, and they're behind you, but you know they're looking at you. How amazing is the body that the brain senses that someone is looking at you?
Sure.
Or if someone touches you on the back of your neck, it's like you know exactly where they touched you. The
Mm.
body is a miracle. So I just want everyone to expect a miracle, to live in a miracle zone, you know?
That is so inspiring. I think your journey, with cancer, facing death, and just kind of healing yourself and using the body to heal itself, and obviously, like you said, it's all intertwined. Your body, your soul, your spirit, your mind, all that in that journey has gotten you to a place where you feel more whole, you feel more connected with yourself. You give yourself that self love. There's one thing that you mentioned, which was awareness, that I want to maybe wrap up there. Awareness is so powerful. Recently, it's something that I have really. It's been something that is at the forefront of my mind in terms of how I process emotions, feelings, events, things. And being aware, like you said, being aware of the anger, being aware of the emotion, whenever I'm in a state that is, I feel it. When I'm in there, like my body is telling me this doesn't feel good at all, right?
Yeah.
I mean, think of times when you're angry, you're sad, whatever. I mean, obviously you want to experience those emotions, process them, right? I'm not saying get rid of them, but just be aware of them. Like just being aware of them is powerful, and being aware of your thoughts is equally powerful. And
Hmm.
I would say by being aware of them, you can you can operate from a higher place, from a higher self, right? Where you can look at these emotions, you can look at your ego and realize that you're not them, you're just experiencing them, and then it can take you through this process of this journey to get to a more enjoyable state.
You said something really, really important, and it just triggered a memory for me that really did help me through this entire process and
Mm-hmm.
even now. And it is being a little bit detached, just
Mm-hmm.
a slight bit detached. Even when you're dealing with your kids or your business, you have to be, for me, like looking at it like it's a movie,
Mm-hmm.
just a tiny bit detached, because you
Sure.
can't just go up and down with everything that happens in a day. We're all so busy and so many things happen, you know. So grounding yourself in nature, that's one of my biggest my biggest tools in my toolbox. And
Mm-hmm.
it's become more of it's like I don't exercise every day. I exercise all the time, all
Mm-hmm.
different ways, but one of them is grounding your feet in the sand or in grass,
Mm-hmm.
or, you know, I know it sounds really stupid, hugging a tree, but
Sure.
being in nature really does help your vibration. It tremendously. Plus, if
Mm-hmm.
you even just look around and see how many leaves are on a tree, there's so much abundance
Mm-hmm.
everywhere. Everywhere you look, there's abundance. So it really depends on what you focus on.
Mm-hmm.
When you're feeling blue or when you're feeling angry, I feel like you should sit with those feelings, feel them, and
Sure.
then you can move on from them.
God, I
You know.
love what you're saying. I resonate so much with everything you're saying. I feel like we're cut from the same cloth. Um, so if someone is going through something today, they're listening to this, watching it, whatever medium, um, and they're in a funk, what's one piece of advice you'd give them?
If they can drive to the ocean, go to the ocean.
Mm,
That is the most healing. Oh, it is just the most healing thing for me personally. That, or if you like the mountains, go to the mountains. If you can't do that, then I think that it would be important for you to just take some breaths,
hug a
take
tree.
take a walk. Yes, you know, there's so many ways that we can help other people. That's the other part of it,
Hmm.
is be of service. Be of service to other people. If you're feeling bad, do something nice for someone else. You know, it's just be humble, be
Hmm.
kind, be of service. You know, I was in the I was shopping the other day, and there was a very old gentleman at the cash register. I'm serious. He looked like he was 80 years old. And
Hmm.
probably no one pays attention to him. And I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, Tony, how are you?" And his eyes lit up like I called him by his name. Use
Mm.
people's names too. That is
Yeah.
so huge. It makes people feel recognized and important and like they matter or mean something
Yes.
to somebody.
Hmm.
So that gives me great pleasure. It's just helping other people makes me feel really good. It's almost a selfish act because it makes me
Sure.
feel so good.
Well, it kind of does what you said earlier, which is kind of you step back and you get out of your own skin for a little bit, right? Because we're so focused and we get so myopic in our approach. Like, okay, what's happening around me? It's like a fight or flight if you're in fear, right? So, and if you look at somebody else and you say, how can I help somebody else? You remove yourself from your immediate emotion,
Yeah.
whatever emotional state and bubble you're in, and you kind of get outside of that, and you're now focused on someone else,
Hmm.
and they may or may not have a better life than you, and if they're helping you, it's probably likely that they don't have as good a life as you. So therefore, you also start to feel a little bit more grateful about what you do have, what you are experiencing.
Yes, it's so true. I am fortunate. I'm able to do a lot of things physically that some people can't do, and my
Hmm.
heart goes out to those people. It really does.
Hmm.
But you just have to, we're all dealt different hands in this life, and you just have to work with where you are at and remember that right this moment, you are as old as you've ever been, but you're also the youngest you're ever going to be,
Mm. Yep. Yep.
right?
Yep.
So enjoy it.
Yep.
Use your body, enjoy your body, love your body,
Yes.
whatever condition it's in.
You're I love it. You're like a book. I got to have you back on here so we can talk more about some of the other topics we didn't get a chance to dive into. But Karen, thank you so much for taking the time. I know I went over 10 minutes, but I just felt like you were giving us so many good pieces there. But definitely want to have you back on.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. And if anybody needs anything from me ever, they can certainly reach out and I would be happy to help anyone who needs my help.
You're so sweet. You're so sweet. Thank you for being on, and can't wait to have you back on.
Thanks, David. Have a
Have a
great
good
one.
day.
Bye bye.